Hey guys, I'm 8-Bit. Uh, you guys probably know me already from the previous panel, so it's nice to be here again. Yeah, I would just want to talk a little bit about ownership, or as some others call it, ownership FM or ownership media. We cover MetaDAO and everything happening around the ownership ecosystem, which occasionally extends outside of MetaDAO, but our main uh, thing that we love to talk about is decision markets, futarchy, and fundraising through trustless ways. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so we're covering the next generation fundraising. We are super bullish on MetaDAO. I think one of the key missing points that we've seen just happen to not just MetaDAO, but any other big project or ecosystem, is their media not being good enough and not getting enough coverage. There's not enough questions that are being asked and they're not being answered. And if there's nobody to ask questions and there's nobody to answer them, then you'll probably fail. Yeah, the problem is that MetaDAO is trying to create a very novel mechanism to raise from retail and public from the public markets. But there's a huge gap in the understanding of decision markets, futarchy, and just investing in general that retail doesn't really get it. And we think that the best way to accelerate retail understanding these new mechanisms is by giving everybody a voice and a chance to ask questions about this new mechanism. One of our biggest and proudest things that we do is we have a lot of regular shows. We have, I think there's going to be a slide. Yeah, so we have a bunch of different products for basically all the different types of audiences that like to tune into media products. We have the Ownership Podcast, which was the original. It was the original way of, or the original idea behind the company. And then, as time went on, it seemed like there was just so much demand to cover it, not just through a podcast, but through a weekly Sunday Spaces, which we call Ownership Radio. And that's really, I think, one of our biggest achievements is having had like 18 or something subsequent spaces without any break. So there you go. And it's been, I think, one of the places where people could just come there and ask a lot of questions. I think we've converted quite a few people who were very skeptical about MetaDAO and ownership coins to being big believers in how it works, because we basically made them understand that while MetaDAO is not perfect, it definitely is directionally right, and Colin and Profit are doing their best to make the greatest fundraising platform ever. Then we also introduced a show called Ownership Roadshow. The original idea behind Roadshow was I was doing a podcast with Crew from Umbra, and he was like, it would be so good, or it's so necessary for teams that are about to raise money to do a sort of roadshow where they showcase their product, the team, and everything around that. And so we made this Shark Tank style game show for pitching. We've had like 3 shows so far from all around the Solana ecosystem, and trying to funnel them into the MetaDAO ecosystem with, I think GSIM is here. They actually won one of our roadshows and ended up after that successfully raising on Fatardio. Then we also do Ownership Forum, which is basically a sit down with the industry's best, with like very important conversations we've had on Blockworks. In one of our in the first episode, and then the second episode we had on Theia, DBA, and Navora, and we actually did that in collaboration with Blockmates. It was one of the most well-received shows, because we really went deep. We went really deep. I really suggest everybody to watch that. And then we also have Ownership Report, which is more for like breaking news in the moment stuff. So when Lasso announced their ICO, or Credible also, we immediately did an ownership report covering the raise details, oh, something happened. Um, yeah, so immediately as soon as the announcement went live, a couple hours after that, we did a podcast with both the Credible and Lasso team, and it's just a very good way of covering things, because when you announce something, people will want to know as much about it as possible. So just having a way for founders to talk to the wider community and give them a stage, I think is very, very important. And oh, what is this? Um, oh, okay. Yeah, so those are all the shows that we do, and as you saw, it's pretty much covers all of it. And then there's a lot of clips, which basically glue together the whole media side to get the maximum distribution. Clipping is actually kind of underrated for founders, and I highly encourage founders to start doing audio content and then reacting to clips, because you can really build your personal brand as a founder just by reacting, quote tweeting these clips, and expand upon the ideas that are in the clips. And that's been a huge success for us, all the clips. They've done really, really well. And yeah, I also want to talk a little bit about the fact that a lot of founders don't have a proper GTM plan before raising. They think, I can just go to MetaDAO and get infinite money. Well, that's not really how it works. You need a good plan. Not only do you need pre-commitments and talk to investors beforehand, but you also need a proper strategy. On the media side, you need good distribution, and we really try to help with that with the clips and the podcast and everything. And another thing that I thought was really important was giving founders and both investors to come together and ask these questions about the critical parts of MetaDAO. We covered a lot of the topics in the previous panel, but that's like a great example of the type of questions that you usually get. And media matters because without good media, even if you have a good product, if nobody's listening, then it's going to be very hard to win. Yeah, I think that's it. That was ownership.